So I just want to start by setting the scene. We now have years of research and from all continents, also overviewed by World Bank, the RAND Corporation and multiple academic institutions, which gives amazing evidence on the impact of early childhood on the health, development and well-being of children. It's not rocket science. When in pregnancy and the first 8 years of life is when you get the most massive brain development. So if you can surround a child with very nurturing and positive and stimulating environments, that child will do well, and if you deprive that child of those environments, that child's brain will not develop properly. The most outstanding evidence for that was the appalling Romanian orphanage incidents, where children who were left really neglected for more than 6 months in Romanian orphanages never ever developed appropriately, and their brain scans showed quite marked abnormalities compared with children who'd got out from those orphanages before 6 months. Very important long-term outcomes being very damaged by these negative experiences. And of course the other, which is my next point, about the research in effective early childhood comes from a whole group now of longitudinal studies which show that children, particularly poor children, which is important for Aboriginal populations, but particularly in marginalised communities and populations, that if you enrich early childhood, and this is involving parents and their children really from pregnancy right through the first 8 years of life, it has an effect on educational achievement and employment. In fact, the biggest impact from some of the studies like the Perischool Project, this is where they get the $1 investment for the $7 benefit at age 20, the biggest impact was actually that the vast majority of people who received the intervention, the early childhood intervention, were employed and paying taxes, and that's where most of that money came from. So if your aim is to improve Aboriginal employment, then your best bang for your buck is to provide Aboriginal children and their families with the most effective early childhood services that you can. But interestingly, the other outcomes that were improved, every single outcome in fact was improved. That includes things like child abuse and neglect. It includes mental health problems. It includes children actually staying on in the school system as well as performing better in the school system. So in fact, if you want to get good educational outcomes for Aboriginal children, you really have to invest in pre-pregnancy, pregnancy and the first 8 years of life with very, very beautifully tailored and nurturing early childhood interventions. And that information, those data, that evidence is on every continent of this planet and has been shown particularly effective for marginalised communities, ones who are poor.